The Law of Mind in Action by Fenwick, L. Holmes. The thing I fear. The thing I greatly feared has come upon me. Job, chapter 3, verse 25. This is a true saying. But why? Because that is exactly the way the law works. The universal creative intelligence takes the strongest impress of our thought as its model and begins to create each thing after its kind. If fear is our thought, then that is our model, and it is done unto us as we think. As we saw in the lesson on evil, the law is neutral and impersonal, and having no choice of our own, it acts upon our choice. Our thought and faith are the model on which the law builds, and if we wish a beautiful house, we must have beautiful plans. We cannot expect a mansion in heaven if our plans call for a doghouse on earth. We are told by the psychologist that every mental action has a corresponding physical reaction of some sort. Then, to hold fear in our thought is to cause it to materialize in the same way. Disease is the thing that appears on the body to correspond to some image of thought held by us either consciously or unconsciously. Usually, we ourselves can trace our trouble back to its mental source, but not always, because it is often an unconscious thing. Frequently, we find that the image was produced by a shock of some kind, as in the death or an accident of a loved one, or perhaps to some story we have read or heard, or it may have been due to the race belief or suggestion of fear and disease and belief in it, or it may be due to our general way of looking at things without any specific or special thought, or it may be due to some current prevailing belief in sickness as in an epidemic. One who is sensitive to mental impressions is open to the most subtle suggestion from the many minds about him. In the case of the great influenza epidemic, which was due to chaotic world thinking, fear, worry and hatred, we found many minds open to it. Yet, though large numbers died of this fear thought, we know that those who came under mental treatment were easily and readily cured. There were cases in every degree and progress of the influenza, yet they yielded readily to the treatment. By realizing the perfect peace and calm in the divine mind in which we live, move and have our being, and which lives in us, moves us, and is the self of us, large numbers of people were cured in one treatment. Even while they were telephoning for relief, they were healed. Our every word, thought and feeling thus finds expression in our body or personality. Each word or thought is a ruler, though it be king for but an instant, and the law is its servant. Our personality is the aggregate of our thinking expressed in form. The totality of our thinking makes us what we are. The aggregate of the thinking of a normal person is healthy. Therefore, he has health. The chronic invalid is one whose mind consciously or unconsciously dwells more on disease than on health. Some people appear always unlucky. They expect it, and the law works out their misfortune to its bitter conclusion. Others are proverbially lucky. They expect luck and good fortune, therefore smiles upon them. Our attitudes of mind, therefore, control our destiny. Men who succeed are found to be those who expect success, and men who fail are those who most fear failure. Of course, in any particular case, it is not always possible to trace out the full working of the law of cause and effect, because so many elements work in it. Often, the habitually fearful have days of hope, and the habitually hopeful have days of fear. What all of us need to do, therefore, is to bring up the aggregate of our thinking for health, wealth and love, so that it shall outbalance any possible amount of negative thinking. We all need to bring our thought up to the highest point of cheer that we possibly can, so that we can counteract the currents of fear into which we may for a time allow ourselves to be swept. And into these currents, every one of us tends at times to be drawn through a false idea of sympathy. We allow ourselves to feel sorry about ourselves or someone else. The heart of great compassion naturally goes out in loving regard for those who are in the path of error, sorrow, or loss. This is right and natural, but many of us allow this sentiment to degenerate into pity, not for them, but for their misfortune. Instead of doing what we can to alleviate the suffering, we simply condole and sympathize with the error, thus allowing ourselves to feel the reality of evil or negation, and so making ourselves at one with it. Pity of this kind is evil. Do not allow yourself to be indulged in it. How easy it is for us to want others to sympathize with us, to pity us, to feel sorry about us. It is not only a great sign of weakness, it is also very selfish, and it opens us to all their negative thinking about us. "I won't have anybody pity me," said one of the noblest women I ever knew when she was working far beyond her ordinary strength. With an invalid husband, a family, and great responsibilities, she would yet not allow that mental attitude to be held toward her. She rose at length above her difficulties. Jesus made a remarkable statement at one time. He said, "The prince of this world cometh and findeth nothing in me." What did he mean? He meant that no thought of lack or evil or fear could enter his mind, because there was nothing in him to attract it. The negative thought comes blowing along, but it cannot blow in on the mind that is positive, for there is nothing in that mind to attract or hold it. Hence, evil cannot become a reality to that soul. This is why we should place the mind on the highest things, because it holds the mind positive only to the best, and the worst can have no part in us, for it does not find anything in us. Will this truth help us to get rid of our fears? I do not know. We need to be warned against wrong thinking. We need to know that our fears will destroy us, but then we want to forget it. We must not allow ourselves to say, "Well, I expect to be destroyed by these negative things." Rather, we should forget it all by turning our thought to the highest and finest things in which we can find interest. "Wherefore dost thou doubt, O ye of little faith?" asks the great teacher. "Cheer up," he says constantly. "Be not anxious for your life, what ye shall eat, nor yet for your body, what ye shall put on. For the life is more than the food, and the body than raiment. Consider the ravens, that they sow not, neither reap, which have no store chamber, nor barn, and God feedeth them. Of how much more value are ye than the birds? And which of you, by being anxious, can add 1 cubit unto the measure of his life? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. Yet I say unto you, even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But if God so clothe the grass which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more shall he clothe you, O ye of little faith? Your Father knoweth. Fear not, little flock. It is your Father's pleasure to give you the kingdom." It is faith and love that solves our problems. It is love. Love walks on the waves to still the turbulent sea of life. Love quiets the storm and brings the frail vessel to a safe harbour. Love says, "It is I, be not afraid." It is love that says, "Lo, I am with you always, even unto the ends of the earth." It is love that lifts the burden, love that lightens every task. Fear not thou, but cease thy struggle. Love will give you all you ask. Love is God and all about you. breathe his presence on the air. Unseen hands are raised to help you by the presence everywhere. Love is life, its rising surges sweep in tides around the wreck. Lift and bear it to the ocean with the captain on the deck. Thou the captain, God the ocean, love the power that moves the tide. Pilot past the bar and breakers, love is acting as thy guide. Realization. God is in his heaven, and all is right with the world. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. No evil shall befall me, and no plague come nigh my dwelling. He has given his angels charge over me to keep me in all my ways. They shall bear me up in their hands, lest I dash my foot against a stone. I am kept by the perfect love that casts out all fear. Fear cannot come near me because my mind is stayed on the highest and best. This is when you argue it out with yourself. How can I escape from this thing? Surely it cannot be by fearing it. I look you mentally in the face and defy you. Discouragement and fear, you have no part in me, for I am above you. I will not pity myself because that only makes my fear more real. So everyone, suppose it is some feeling that you have a dreadful disease upon you. To fear it will only make it worse. There is no disease known that will not yield to truth and faith of those who are determined to be well. And the way to get well is to stop fearing and go thinking healthful and hopeful thoughts. I know that all power is given unto me in heaven and on earth. I will use this God power in me, and I am thankful for it. Thoughts of self-pity and fear have no influence with me. I will not allow anyone to pity me. That will only fasten this thing upon me. The prince of this world, fear and sickness, comes to me, but they do not find a welcome here. There is nothing in me to give them a welcome. Yes, perfect love casts out all fear from me. So if it is fear of business failure, treat it in the same way. To fear it is to bring it on you. You cannot do one bit of good by worrying. That will only reduce your strength in an emergency. He that clothes the lily will look after my interests. I am safe in the assurance that if this particular thing should fail, there is something better to come for me. We have known of many cases where present failure was simply the prelude to a greater success. Sometimes the accumulated thoughts of failure and sorrow or inharmony have been swept away by a flood of fire or bankruptcy, only to sweep the mind clean for higher attainment. Thousands have thus begun at the bottom only to climb still higher in the new work. To fear failure will not help. Have faith. This is the one great essential. Have faith in yourself. Have faith in others. Have faith in the future. Have faith in God. Courage and faith are half the battle. Determination, will and work are the other half. You can if you think you can. I know I can succeed, and I will succeed. I am success, I am courage, I am faith, I am victory. Faith is the victory that overcomes the world, and I have all the faith there is. So now you have to concentrate your thought for a moment on the positive thing you want. Make up your mind that you will have the best and the best only. If you do not know now just what course to follow, there is a mind in you that does. Depend on it. Resolve to be led by the divine wisdom that speaks through you. Step out in faith on the new venture for health, wealth, or love, and expect great things. The spirit in you will soon lead you into the best. Now let this good come to me. Let it come in the best possible way. Let me be led by divine wisdom. Let me be prospered. Thou givest me above all I ask or think, and I am satisfied that all is well with me. I render thanks. Spend a moment on the divine wisdom within you, and go your way with a song in your heart. Let it be done unto thee, even as thou wilt. So be it.